Can somebody just check if you can see on YouTube live?
Yes, you are.
It's there, no?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
I'm just gonna quit this meeting for a moment just to check audio over on the YouTube
Yeah,
live.
sure. So I think Deepthi is having some issues with her speaker. Oh yeah, Deepthi. Yeah, hi Deepthi. So sorry, I didn't realize you joined. Yeah. Okay. So I think we are good to go. So Deepthi, that is Shashi. She is the moderator. Okay. Okay. So it's 7 o'clock and let's just get started. So a big hello to everyone from All Inclusive Foundation and our panelists and our moderator. And we are going to just have some conversations around neurodivergence in women. So before I hand it over to Shashi, who is the moderator for today, I just want to give a brief intro to our organization. So All Inclusive Foundation is based in Bangalore, and we do work in Karnataka and Kerala. Four of us came together to found the organization, and like we look at neurodivergences and marginalized communities, and we believe that we need to work on the environment and so thus create inclusive communities. And that is our vision in terms of creating inclusive communities by creating supportive environments for marginalized communities. And we also adopt a lifespan approach because we don't believe that marginalizations or disabilities go away at certain stages of your life. So that is in brief about, we do run multiple programs, and that is in brief about All Inclusive. And to introduce the moderator for today, Shashi is a very old friend of mine personally, and she is a mother of two young adults, a full-time educator, and a journalist with Deccan Herald. She's also a part-time storyteller and an aspiring farmer. And to top it all, she's also the founder of Leap Years by Adiksha Foundation, which is a Bangalore-based learning center. So this is very brief, is a very brief introduction about Shashi. And I will now hand it over to Shashi to take it over.
Chitra. Namaskara, everybody, and good evening. Welcome to this evening's As I See It on Neurodivergence in Women. My name, as Chitra mentioned, is Shashi, and Shashikala MS in all its glory. And I will be facilitating this conversation in the evening. Before we begin, a little bit about neurodiversity, just so that we are all on the same page. It refers to the diversity of human brains and minds, encompassing various neurological and developmental conditions such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and more. Research suggests that neurodivergent individuals are just as likely to be female as male. However, women are often underdiagnosed, misdiagnosed, or diagnosed later in life due to societal expectations and biases and various other factors. Also, according to a study published in the International Journal of Epidemiology, autistic girls and women are more likely to be misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed due to their ability to mask or camouflage their symptoms. In India, the patriarchal society perpetuates gender disparities, making it even more challenging for neurodivergent women to access services support, and accommodations. Women are often expected to conform to traditional roles and norms, making it difficult for them to express themselves authentically. With that, I welcome our panelists to share their insights and experiences. We have with us Mithila, a neurospicy individual who is passionate daydreamer, physiotherapist, and most importantly, enjoys autism motherhood. She is a proud woman with ADHD. We have Amrit, a young adult on the autism spectrum. She began her journey with art at a young age by expressing her routine through her drawings. Her unique perspective and her minute observation of her surroundings soon caught the eye of her mentors. Since then, Amrit has exhibited her work at several platforms, hosted solo shows, has been featured in articles, and in short, made strides in the field of art. And I'm sure she has opened avenues for many, many, many of our friends. She has been the recipient of several grants and awards. She is a collaborator in the award-winning, internationally acclaimed documentary, The Reason I Jump. Her work is also the cover for the exhibit Perceptions of Sentience, which will be open to the public at the UN Secretariat Gallery in New York from April 1st to July 1st, 2025. We have with us Ramya Hariharan. Hi, Ramya. Ramya is the founder of Will at Work and an old friend. By old friend, I mean I've known her for long. I don't mean she's old. A unique design and handcraft studio that believes in the boundless potential of diverse hands and the therapeutic benefits of handwork. An alumnus of National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad, an instructional designer, a special educator inspired by anthroposophy, and a mother fascinated by the richness of neurodivergent mind. Will at Work is a passionate outcome of personal experiences and deep realizations. Deepthi is an entrepreneur, brand builder, medical copywriter, and editor. She has launched Pune's first co-working space. She's run a cloud kitchen and worked on various creative and strategic projects. Living with Deepthi, I might pronounce this wrong, correct me please. Living with sirinomyelia and sirinobulbia, along with chronic pain, vagus nerve and nasal palsy, and diplopia. She has shaped the way she works, and I can't wait to hear her speak. We have Shibili Suhana, who is a psychotherapist, couples therapist, and group facilitator who believes in the power of community and connection. As a neurodivergent woman herself, she's deeply committed to neuroaffirmative, queer affirmative, and anti-oppressive work. Her approach is systemic and relational, making space for people to be fully themselves without apology. That was our panel, and I can't wait to hear them and learn from them. Just before that, a small little thing, we have some house rules. This is how broadly the panel discussion will follow. There's a general round of introductions, self-introductions by the panelists. Round two will have specific questions that I will be posing to the panelists. And the final round will have concluding remarks. We will, after which we will take audience questions, but please send your questions to the host, Chitra Paul, on chat. And we request you all to mute yourselves and be present. Thank you very much. Now, Mithila. Hi, Mithila.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, can we start with you? You could briefly introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Mithila Pimparkar. I'm a neurophysiotherapist and I'm a neurodivergent person. This is my new identity I have discovered a year ago that I am a person with ADHD and I'm mother to 8-year-old boy Ryan, who is on autism spectrum. So I'm a full-time caregiver, a mother and parent to Ryan, and a part-time physiotherapist. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having a nice conversation on this platform.
Thank you, Mithila. Amrit, can you please introduce yourself?
दोबारा Hello everyone, I am autistic artist Amrit Khurana. I began my journey with art at a young age and I love to present my day through my drawings. I am fascinated by human emotions, and I like to present it through my work. I have exhibited my work at several platforms, hosted solo shows, and I have also been featured in articles. I am also a recipient recipient of several grants and awards. I am a collaborator in the award-winning, internationally acclaimed documentary The Reason I Jump. My recent work is also the cover for the exhibit Perceptions of Conscience, which will be open to public at the UN Secretariat Gallery in New York from 1st April to 1st July 2025.
Thank you, Amrit. Privileged to have you with us. Ramya, may I request you to please introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ramya Hariharan. Like Shashi introduced, I'm a design professional and alumna of National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. I'm a content designer, a printing technology engineer, an educator, and more recently, founder of Will at Work, a very special design and handcraft studio. But today on this special panel, I'm not representing any of these roles, but as a mother to a lively and beautiful 15-year-old daughter, Meenakshi. And this privilege that I have got is something that I want to share in this panel from a parental perspective, from a primary caregiver perspective, and also want to learn as a professional how I can value add to this world of neuro.
Ramya, I'm just going to jump in. Can you speak a little louder? I think people are not able to hear. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Am I audible? Am I clear?
How is it, everybody?
It sounds like it's coming from very far away. It is clear. Your voice feels like it is coming from very far away distance.
Just give Ramya, Shashi, do you want to go ahead with the next person and then we can come back to Ramya by the time she figures
Sure.
it?
Am I better now? Am I audible
Yes,
now?
yes. I
Oh,
think it's
yes,
better.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm Ramya Hariharan, a design professional like Shashi introduced. I'm an alumna of National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. Also a content designer, a printing technology engineer, founder of Will at Work, which is a handcraft studio, a design and handcraft studio. But today on this panel, I am representing the role of a mother to a lively, beautiful 15-year-old Meenakshi, who is the reason that I have really learned so much for myself. And today on this panel, I want to share my perspective as a primary caregiver and also a professional who wants to tie up all that I can in this beautiful world of neurodiversity. So I'm here to learn and share. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramya. May I request Deepthi to introduce herself, please? Do we have Deepthi?
Yeah, she just needs
Yeah.
a minute. Yeah, okay.
Hello, so I'm Deepthi Kasbekar. I'm from Pune, and I I didn't know I belong to the neurodivergent or divergence spectrum, if that's the right word, until I was invited on this panel. That's when I went and asked my doctor about it, and he very vehemently said no. But when I did a bit more of reading and all, I realized that chronic pain and neurological dysfunction is also a very, very big part or does come under neurodivergence, where medical doctors or the medical fraternity is still getting acclimatized to it. So that is why I said from a pain perspective, or how how I adjust or how I have rewired my life, living with pain is something I want to contribute to, and if my experiences can help, bring about some sort of encouragement to whoever I'm reaching out to, then I'm really happy to be here. So thanks, all inclusive.
Thank you, Deepthi. Happy to have you on the house. May I request Shibili Suhana to introduce yourself, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Shibli Sohana. I am currently working as a psychotherapist. I also practice as a couples and family therapist, and I absolutely love facilitating groups. So I believe a lot in the power of how community can shape us, and community can really change a lot of things for individuals. So I don't particularly believe in individual therapy shaping individuals or changing people or changing behaviors of people. I believe in how we can all come together in an inclusive fashion, in a more intersectional fashion, and help individuals have better lives in community. So that's the aspect that I mostly work from. My work is mostly systemic and relational in nature, not more majorly behavioristic in nature. So these are the kinds of things that I've been doing lately. But talking about myself personally, it was a very late understanding that there is that I could be neurodivergent. It was something that someone else pointed out to me. Even as a therapist, I could not point it out because my training in therapy also is quite, I would say, colonial in nature. Was colonial in nature with the kind of education that I did have. But it took a lot of learning and unlearning and getting way more kind of information from other neurodivergent individuals to even understand what is going on. Later, I came to understand a lot of things about my own particular personality traits, which includes ADHD, BPD traits, plus even CPTSD as a diagnosis. So all of this including trauma. My doctor, my psychiatrist always talks about how much of an impact just trauma can in itself have in the way you think, your cognition, the way you behave. So it's important also, I feel, with my personal journey and with everything that I've seen, that it's very important for us to understand that neurodivergence is a huge umbrella, and that almost 30 to 40% of our world population seems neurodiverse, but we are not very accepting of it, and we are not very willing to work or understand that almost majority is actually neurodiverse in nature. And it's the neurodivergent population that has to fit into the neurotypical population, not the other way around. But I personally believe that the future is inclusive and the future is neurodivergent. So yeah, we are yet to see a lot of things coming up, and I'm very excited for the future. Yeah. Thank you for having me here.
That is, in a way, very reassuring, and I agree with you. It is, none of us are as good as all of us, so we need to work together. And yeah, so amazing, good to have you here. So I will have to remind myself that I am the moderator. I can't be starstruck and starry-eyed. Yeah, so yeah, we'll go on to our next round. Mithila, I would want you to talk about societal expectations of women's behavior and how it intersects with the ADHD traits. How have you navigated these expectations without even knowing that you were neurodivergent? How has it helped you now that you know? How have you connected the dots, and how do you think it has helped you in understanding your child's behaviors and sensibilities? Mithila?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Even though I was diagnosed with ADHD last year, I always knew something was, different about me. Because growing up, like in India, as you mentioned earlier, in a patriarchal society, women are right from the beginning, like from the childhood, are shaped to become a nurturer and caretaker. And when you are raised, a typical Indian society, Orthodox society. That's what the background I come from. So there is one gender-based education or gender-based upbringing that is there, bias upbringing, which demands a girl to be quiet, to not show the traits, and so because of that, there is something called as the traits that develop into women is are like overwhelm, which are also seen as anxiety, increased internalized hyperactivity. That is, the superficially a woman appears to be focused and not distractible, but whereas the woman is actually all over the place mentally, mood dysregulation, all of that. So yeah, so and a lot of women get misdiagnosed with anxiety and depression. So, and because of that, and but there is also a knowledge in that I've always had that even though I'm different or sort of a misfit among the good girls, I always tried to be a good girl. I strive to be a good girl. And I tried so hard, and which gave rise to something called, as I've learned recently, internalized ableism, where I have to become like others, no matter what, at the cost of anxiety, at the cost of mental fatigue, at the cost of, high stress level. I have to become like somebody else. So now, like pay attention, be favorite, uh, at the cost of becoming a people pleaser, not so knowing how to say no, even though I'm in the burnout, or even though in having my sensory issues in the background. I tried so hard. So what the result is that w women in ADHD, girls in ADHD also have sensory issues, the sensory needs that are there. So when you're not allowed to, express physically what your brain is actually trying to do, sitting at one place is something absolutely difficult for a child with ADHD for longest amount of time. Impulsive speech, distractibility is something. But when a girl is hiding it for a really long time, what happens is that you create a person who has a low self-esteem, or you create a woman who is an emotional eater. You create a person who is so susceptible to, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PCOD, fibromyalgia, hypertension. This is something that I was on the track. So when last year I was a hands-on caretaker to my mother, who unfortunately lost a battle to cancer, and when I lost her, the grief that I was going through because of the loss of my mother, uh, increased my, difficulty to deal with the life. So I knew that something's up, so I went for a formal diagnosis. I was always reading about ADHD through Dr. Edwin Hallowell and Huberman Lab, and a lot of material that is out there. I got myself formally diagnosed in the Nimhans Hospital, and the way it has changed, it's a long process. I mean, the first thing that I have learned is self-compassion. After that, I knew all the challenges that I had gone through are actually because of the unmanaged ADHD. So now that I know that I am ADHD, I just know that I am impulsive. I have acceptance that I am distractible, I am impulsive, I'm hyperactive, I am forgetful, I am clumsy, and I'm a sensory seeker. So, because I have developed compassion and understanding for myself, I don't see as myself distractible. I see myself immensely curious than others. I don't see myself as impulsive. I feel a creative person, because you cannot have a creativity unless you have impulsivity. So instead of looking myself as a hyperactive person, I see myself as a very energetic person who is able to handle topics of different backgrounds all at a time. And I have started advocating for myself, especially, and that advocacy starts from the home to my partner. I have started taking a better care for myself, because I know what is going to help me. I have started taking supplementation. I have started therapy, which is specific to ADHD. I have started time management strategies, and which is I have started a strength training, resistance training exercise program, which has immensely helped me to manage my ADHD brain. So what I have learned that I have a brain with an engine of a Ferrari, it's kind of, but a brake of a bicycle. So, so when you have a Ferrari and the brakes of a bicycle, you are bound to um, you're bound to, have a crash, or you don't know. So I'm learning uh, to strengthen those brakes so that I can be a champion at life and I can be a champion mother to my son Ryan. And it has immensely helped. In fact, his diagnosis of autism has, uh, pointed me to go for my own diagnosis. So I understand him well, and of course, having immense empathy for other person is one of the traits of ADHD. So I understand my son. I'm a better, I can connect with him better. I understand his sensory issues. I understand his desire to jump, to desire to crave sensory input, to not want some input. I understand burnout. I understand what it is to want to have a novelty, yet to have a sameness in the life. So it helped immensely. It immensely helped me understand, and I hope I continue to understand him as he grows. And yeah, this is a journey in progress. And yeah, I think I just try to put uh, whatever it has been now. I just gave my level best right now to put my thoughts into words.
It is absolutely amazing how you have redefined yourself. I'm not the only one who is saying it. There are others in the audience who are expressing that.
That's nice to know.
Thank you, Mithila, for sharing that. We will come back to you about
Sure.
how and what helped you to cope and accept yourself in a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I will. May I ask Amrit now? Could you please share your experience with schooling and education with us? How did you?
School was never easy. I struggled with studies, but I have been very lucky that my mother is an educator and I found spaces because of her. School in Noida, where my mother worked, changed my world. I received not only acceptance but also a chance to grow. The school embraced me and allowed me to be myself. They valued my art and made it possible for me to make my mark. I am grateful to the teachers and students in school for loving me and accepting me for who I am. Schools play a big role in the lives of neurodiverse people. The initial years in the life of a child are crucial as we grow older. Challenges for neurodiverse girls can increase a lot and behaviors can be perceived as awkward if school can give a buddy who understands in these years. It can make it easy for us.
Thank you, Amrit, for telling us about your experience and also telling us how we can make it better. Um, Thank you so much. I mean, it means a lot. There is a lot of learning. Unless you speak to us, we as educators, we will not be able to be effective at all. You have to make us effective, and thank you so much for this. Ramya, in what ways has being a parent of a neurodivergent girl influenced your own self-discovery and personal growth? What specific challenges have you faced as a mother and mentor to a neurodivergent girl?
Yeah, so the last 15 years have been really uncertain, I would say, but immensely rewarding. So this is something that has not, this one sentence which I'm able to formulate today is something only now I'm able to formulate it with conviction. It is not the, when I was meeting those years, it was not this way. So that means the journey has really been rewarding. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here saying this with conviction. So basically, every challenge that we met and every opportunity that we met actually helped us discover things about us which were not known to us. So it's like 10 years back, 10 to 12 years back, I would have taken a break. I had to take a break from my career. So basically, when I say career, it is something that we have worked so many years for, right? It's a role that we have started defining ourselves with. And suddenly that role is meaningless, literally meaningless at that point of time. And you are tugged between two different forces, right? What am I supposed to uphold as an image, as a choice that I made all these years? Is it of no use, kind of a thing? But then in the role of a mother, a caregiver, you realize that what is there in front of you is something that needs utmost attention. And all the other things are just masks which can be put aside and probably are meaningless too. Actually, to be honest, in the last 10 years, when I had not even spoken to anybody about NID or being a designer, because it did not take center stage at any point of time. It was actually something which didn't make meaning. And what was more important was to meet my child beyond the label and all the uncertainties and conditioning which we have to work with. It is something that is more internal than external. The child has come, but what it is really pushing us to see is our own conditioning, our own battles, and our own societal expectations which we have set around us. And at one point of time, you get the power to shatter those expectations, and that is when the child reveals to you. And that is the beauty of, I think, a neurodivergent. When I say fascinated by the neurodivergent mind, at every step where there was a challenge and it had to go through introspection, and only then did a new facet of my daughter emerge to me. So it was so important for me to shed my expectations and my masks and my conditioning and fears to be able to see a part of her, which was actually helping me reveal a part of me to myself. So actually, I would say my daughter is the reason I have found purpose to my life. Uh, I hope I help her find her purpose, or at least make the way for her to find her purpose. But at this point of time, I know that she has helped me find my purpose. But it is not easy. And even today, to come and speak over here, the amount of uncertainty, the amount of internal struggle I had to go through, and it's something I couldn't even share with anybody because I felt that nobody will be able to really see what I'm trying to say. But I'm sure the mothers over here will be able to resonate with it immediately, because these are all silent battles we fight, but they are worth fighting for, is all I would say. Because apart from finding your beautiful child who is there to there in all her you know purity, we also find about ourselves, and we know now that there are so many things which are unnecessary noise in our life which can be just put aside. And there is so much of beauty that can be appreciated about what we have. So when I say that she's a blessing, I mean it. It's not just a beautiful phrase that I'm saying, I mean it with all my heart. So it has been a beautiful journey of self discovery, and I think this is just a start. Because for me to even come and stand, talk in front of you as an advocate, is the most recent role. So my role as a designer is the oldest. My role as a mother is as old as my daughter. My role as a special mother is even younger. And I would say a role as an advocate is the youngest. And these are baby steps, but I'm really glad that such forums are there and I'm meeting the right people. So that this is another thing I want to say. Whenever we met, see, as an anxious mother, I really wanted to do the best for her. And we have tried all sorts of things, all sorts of therapies. We have met all sorts of people, doctors, whatnot. We have met so many people and read so much. But at one point of time, I realized if I just go by my daughter's perception, daughter's, what do you say? She was so perceptive of the people we met. And there were times she would walk out of therapy rooms And I would try to convince her to sit and everything. It did not work. And then I started analyzing the pattern between the people she decided to stay with and the people she walked out of. The people who really were very non-judgmental and presuming competence were the people she stuck with. And after a point, I left the decision to her. If she walks out of a therapy room, I follow her. Because there is no point in, there are so many perspectives, right? Everybody is trying to make a perspective seem right. But internally, some perspectives are not, um, don't resonate with you. After a point, it is not helping in your journey. But you don't know what it is because you yourself have so many biases within you. So actually, I said, here is a person who is probably more clean slate and more clear about what she wants.
Yeah.
And let me just go with her decision about certain things. Of course, certain things I would sit and talk to her about. And there are so many times in my early years as a mother, I have said sorry to her. I said in her sleep, maybe, because sometimes I would wonder whether telling it in front of her would confuse her. But in her sleep, I would tell, I'm really sorry that I took you through that experience. I knew it was not worth it. It was something that I did without my knowledge. I'm really sorry about that. And I have met, and because of her, I have met so many philosophies and people, and what do you say, even books for that matter, which have shown such beautiful perspectives. Like, for example, when I said anthroposophy, it's a Waldorf school of education. The philosophy of anthroposophy was so touching, and my daughter led me to that school. It was not something that happened by my planning. It happened very organically. And what I realized was here was a philosophy that was finally talking about the wisdom of the human being and not about an external diagnosis or a problem to be fixed. So that was such a revealing phase for me when I realized that I'm not trying to fix a problem, but I'm trying to understand the potential of the human being and seeing where is the deviation, how can I help, how can I give accommodations where it cannot be helped, and still lead a life of meaning. So
Yeah.
these were the aspects which really, I think, has been self-discovery in multiple ways, and I think this is going to be lifelong. So that's that much more exciting. Thank you,
So,
Sashi.
Ramya, you said one thing. You said there is just so much noise in our life, and that is what you understood. So it reminds me of a poem I heard very recently. I don't know who the poet is. It says, "In this moment, I am enough. In this moment, you are enough. In this moment, we are enough. I am dismantling my image." So it brought what you said resonated so well with it. There's just one thing I would like to know. Was there a particular moment, a transformative moment or an experience that helped you better understand and support your daughter's needs, your daughter's wants, or you to be a better companion to your daughter?
Yeah, see, I think again, because we don't come with any uh, manual, right? How to work with what is happening around us. It's everything is so new, everything is so unpredictable, and you feel very inadequate. Basically, you do not know whether you're doing the right thing. Though you read that it is the right thing to do, but when it is put to practice, it is not working for you. So that is when you're really confused and you're really anxious because you know that you are the only person whom the child is dependent on, and you are anxious because of that. So I think it was my anxiety which was actually hampering a lot of things which could happen. And then I met this very senior therapist, a very gentle person. And I went there as a very anxious mother and this little child with me who was 4 or 5 years old. And I had a long list of goals and things to be put in place and questions to be asked and everything. And this lady just, just showed this hand like this and made me sit on the side. She said, I don't want to talk to you. I am here to talk to your child and I will do the needful. And I was like, what will you get from a child who is 4 or 5? I am the one who has to tell you everything. That was my phase. But you won't believe it because I had to just sit there holding my ego in my fragile ego very patiently. But in that next 45 minutes, what I saw was a beautiful conversation happening between two human beings where they met each other. The diagnosis didn't matter, the age didn't matter, and they were having a conversation with their eyes, with activities, with so many things. And that day, literally, I felt ashamed. I said, where have I not seen my own child in all these years? So I give this analogy to my whenever I meet other mothers. I say I was standing behind her all this time and saying I can't see the eyes, I can't see the nose, something is wrong. All I had to do was change my own location. I had to go in front of her and meet her. She was right there because I was so stuck by the labels and the disorder, the terms like lifelong disorder, so many things that are stuck to us on both of us, not just her, on me also, right? I was so stuck with those labels, I had stopped seeing the child who was there in all her availability in front of me. And that was a transformative moment for me. And I still have, I'm in touch with the therapist and I share all my journeys and gratitude to her without fail. She's the first person I message because she changed my direction that day. Had I not met her, I think I would have lost many more years of this understanding. Uh, so I think this was a transformative moment, and like this, we have met many. So in there's a beautiful book which says, "Meet me where I am," and I really, I mean, it's a beautiful book where it talks about having a soul connection with the person in front of you. And this is where I say that we learn what is a noise and what is really meant to be kept in our life. And it is easy. This journey is special because only this journey will show you that. All others will be something that you have to seek. Here it is coming to you. So it is very, I mean, that person's meeting that person again was one of the most important direction change for me. And then like this, many people have, I've really been fortunate actually through the last 15 years to have met some wonderful people and which has shaped our journey beautifully. Thank you.
Shashi, are you back? I think we lost Shashi.
Yeah, I think she had a
No,
power
I'm
outage.
sorry. Yeah, I had a power outage and
fine,
I'm really
fine.
sorry about it. I'm
No
back.
issues, no.
Yeah. Bangalore. Welcome to Bangalore. Yeah. So yeah, Deepti, may I ask you the next question? Can you share your personal journey with a rare neurological condition? I learned about it yesterday, actually. How has it shaped your life and career? What challenges have you faced as an end human? And how have you overcome them? Can you all hear me? I'm really sorry about this mix-up.
We can hear. We can hear.
Okay.
Yeah, so it actually starts with me not being ashamed of myself, because before syringomyelia, before having being inflicted or being affected by this disorder, I have dealt with another lifelong problem, which is social and a physical one, and that is of being morbidly obese as a child and as a growing teenager. So, so I mean, I have faced body shaming even throughout before syringomyelia, and wherein, oh, do you get clothes of your size? Very, very pitifully, I've had aunties asking me, are all your clothes stitched? You may be needing underwear stitched as well, too. After syringomyelia, which caused heavy weight loss, and I drastically, shrunk up, and after that, those very people said, oh, you used to look nicer when you were fatter. Now you look sick. You look ill. Or in Marathi, they normally say, खराब झाली है type, or बहुत खराब हो गई हो. So, dealing with some sort of comment or discussion or dissection regarding who I am or my body has been something I've been struggling with since I was a child. So when syringomyelia came to me, it was at that time, oh my God, just one more problem now that I have to deal with, because syringomyelia was something that happened. It is an autoimmune disease. Your immunity attacks you, but right from people around me to the people I work with, to family members, to my own doctors said, oh, it happened because she's fat. But I did a lot of reading. I also started believing it's because of my obesity, and that is what has led to all of this. So, I also went to a lot of lot of things I'm not comfortable talking about now that I would do in order to lose weight, and then eventually I lost weight because that comes with the condition. And then I thought that, okay, I actually at one point of time, I thought that having syringomyelia came as a boon because, okay, now at least I'm thin enough and normal, you know, and that itself also was such a wrong thing to start believing or convincing myself of because I wasn't aware of the battle I'm, getting on to, with the symptoms that syringomyelia bring with it, chronic pain, muscle weakness, numbness. I don't know when I get burnt or I don't know if I'm holding ice for too long, I get an ice burn or, I can do those magical things that that make me a very favorite aunt amongst my, my friends' children and all, where I can lift up a hot cup of, coffee off the stove or something like that because I don't, oh, Masi doesn't get burnt, but I do get blisters. But, it's just because, so there are a lot of things. There's diplopia from someone who didn't have specs. I suddenly had to deal with like double vision, loss of vision, in the night, and then I had to, for someone even even through obesity and everything, I walked. I had a good gait. I used to walk well, and now suddenly I had loss of coordination, and moments where swallowing becomes a battle. But then you know what? I just decided that this is it. I have to survive. I have people that I want to live for, and I cannot sit mopping over what's happened to me. And that's the reason why that, that when that realization happened, that is when I started making myself the priority, So where I ended up in, I make sure I structure my environment to suit me. I don't try to suit my environment anymore. You know, I don't try to make anyone around me comfortable with my condition anymore, even if it sounds or comes across as arrogant, you know, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if I have a relapse or an attack or something, only I know how to deal with myself. People around me don't. So I need to be very comfortable. And the day I realized that, life became today living with Sirichumaila is challenging. I have bad days, bad hours every day, but it's still because I have realized or I know myself, like what Aristotle said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So knowing myself, knowing that this is who I am, has made me realize and made me cope with syringomyelia and chronic pain much more effortlessly than I would earlier. So that's been my personal journey, like I mean, I'm not pushing through the pain or anything. I'm adapting to it. I'm working through it, and my strength isn't loud or visible. It's just that I choose to show up, and thanks to platforms like these, now I get a chance to speak up as well.
Thank you, Deepti, for being you.
Mm.
Yeah, so when she was talking about how she was trying to be a people pleaser, I mean, we all do that. We all want to be liked, and we all want to be accepted. One line that I read somewhere comes to my mind: humans are the only animals that are pretending to be something they are not.
Always.
Yeah. So I think all of us have to learn to stop pretending. And thank you, Deepti, again. More power to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shibili, is that the correct way to pronounce your name? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Um,
Call me
could you
Shibli,
share? Sorry,
Suhana. You can call me
Suhana.
Shibli, call me Suhana, no worries.
Suhana, okay. Can you share your personal journey with neurodivergence? What do you think are the biggest misconceptions about ND in women, neurodivergence in women? And because you're a psychotherapist, please tell us. It is something that I have been struggling with my own children in this center. How does neurodivergence affect mental health, and what strategies do you use to, maintain well-being? How can we help?
Those are a lot of questions. Okay, my personal journey, misconceptions, how it affects mental health, and some strategies. I'm right. I'm just making sure I got the question right.
I will.
Okay, thank you. Talking about personal journey, uh, growing up, I was an extremely hyperactive child who was jumping around all the time, and I was always told that nobody could handle me. Like I was everywhere, but everyone loved me. So I was loved by everybody, and I was also kind of, pushed a little too much because I seemed very smart, because I was around everywhere, because I was talking to a lot of people. I think some people saw the potential in what comes out then, and kind of also, I'd say that my mother really tried to see my strengths and see what can be done with it and send me to a lot of competitions. But I noticed that what ended up happening is that I was always in competitions. I was always talking everywhere. I was always performing. I was always in situations where performance was, expected. And it kind of started taking a huge toll on me. Like everything else, I couldn't do everything all at once. And I was always termed as this child who is she's smart, but she's too sensitive. Like she's crying too much. She cries too much. She can't handle her emotions. Or she's just like her aunt. It's we call tension Vasu. In South India, if you're a South Indian, you might understand. Like always so tensed. And we all know now that when there is neurodivergence, anxiety comes, as in if there's ADHD, anxiety comes as a part and parcel of it, of course. It's like a 1+1 thing that you inherit, of course. So growing up, it was really difficult. But nobody understood that it was difficult for me because outwardly it looked like I am achieving. It looks like success. But emotionally, I was depleting. I was falling apart. But I had to keep this together outside. And I think I kept it up for a very long time, somehow managing things until college, when things started falling apart a little more with how mood disorder also came up on top of neurodivergence. But I could not really see it as, oh, something is happening with me. It was really hard to even point that out. I think it even later, like way into my like mid 20s, and when I started feeling a bit more safe, that is after I got married, after I'm with my partner, and I started feeling a bit more safe in my environment, is when all hell broke loose. I think that's the point when I just gave up on things and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't mask anymore. I don't care anymore. I just want to be taken care of somewhere. And the mood disorder, which is extreme depression, took over me. And I started seeing my doctor. And doctor said, oh, you have had ADHD all your life. So let's keep the ADHD aside. You have lived with ADHD somehow, but it's the mood disorder that is bothering you right now. So let's try to treat that and then we'll see the rest later. So I absolutely was very shocked by that approach because it was her who also made me think differently about neurodivergence or about ADHD, completely shaped and changed the way I looked at things. And she was right. Once she worked on my mood disorder, once my depression got better, once the suicidality and everything got better, I could manage the rest. Like everything else was okay. I still somehow lived with it in my childhood. I could still live with it. I just needed some more help from other people around me. I think major fights started coming up while you're staying with another person, and organization, planning, all these things comes into place. Forgetfulness, a lot of these symptoms come up. And I remember how I have a habit of sometimes forgetting to switch off the stove. Like a lot of forgetfulness happens. Close the fridge. Things like this. And initially my partner used to ask me things like, why have you done this? How can you do this? What if the house burns? Then I think he realized it's not going to work. It's not working. Like it's not an efficient model to criticize me or say anything like that. So we started using different methods, like, keeping a lot of You should see our house. It's full of post-it notes. It's everywhere. So switch off the gas was written over where I'm working, in the kitchen, on the doors for like, I think for 1 month straight, it was written everywhere. And subconsciously, I think I somehow it went into my head and slowly I learned. And now it's become a part of my habit of sort. But if it was told to me like, you are some person like this, you do this, you have to be better, you have to, nothing comes out of me. I can't become better just like that. I noticed how, as a child, I would get very dysregulated because criticism was always a part of my life. It was not strength-based approach that I had ever. It was more of like, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Be better, be better. Such approaches never really help. And even as an adult with my own mental health journey, I started recognizing neurodivergence is not just about ADHD. And along with all of this and along with a lot of trauma in childhood came a lot of other labels as well. So this started making me very confused. It's like there's so many labels. It's just, it's too much. What does this mean, right? Then it brought me to a space of understanding that it's important to highlight that there are certain limitations of strict labeling in people and to also underscore the importance of the necessity of individualized care over just strictly boxing or labeling as such for people, for individuals who are neurodiverse also. Yeah, so just understanding this about myself, embracing all of this has brought a lot of changes within me and where I meet my clients as well. Yes, it's been a very incredible, very insightful and crazy journey, I would say. But I'm just learning step by step. Also, I just wanted to mention one more thing. I cried. I cried when I heard Remya speak. I cried when I heard some of the others also speak, but specifically Remya, because I've personally never heard a parent speak so positively. It's my first time being in a panel with parents. I've been with a lot of neurodivergent individuals, but I've not been with parents of neurodivergent individuals. And I cannot tell you how healing it felt to just hear you speak, say those things, because I think some of my clients would have killed to hear what you said today. That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that as well.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Shibli. That really makes me feel so happy, so blessed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suhana. I would also like to apologize for like bombarding you with questions. I should have known better. I should have asked one at a time. And one of my very good friends who was in the audience reminded me that take it easy, ask one question at a time. Thank you. And I'm
I think
sorry
I only answered one of the questions also.
for having missed that part. I think we are seriously running out of time. And Chitra, can we please extend the session a little bit?
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. We can't
Thanks.
just leave
Yeah.
it here like this because I think people are also interested to
Yeah.
hear more. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Mithila, coming back to Mithila, could you tell us a little more? See, you have gone through a very long journey of acceptance, of living through ADHD, and then accepting yourself. What is it that helped you to accept yourself? How did you go about it? Um, did you take refuge in anything like spirituality, meditation, mindfulness? Could
Yes.
you tell us a little more? Yeah.
Yeah. So, right from the college time, when I was a student of physiotherapy, I just knew that there are few things that are very easy for the other girls that I see, and like simple things are so difficult for me. So I always wanted to make myself better. So I've been a I would call I'm an ardent reader. So mundane conversations that usually happen between the women and girls about like mundane, which are repetitive things are so boring. So I've always immersed myself into books, a lot of books. So self-help books is something that I have found refuge into. I always thought that I have to fix myself. So I will, if I read more books, then maybe I will be able to, fix myself so that I can have. I always knew that I have a problem with focus, concentration, everything. So try to do that. But one particular book that helped me to fully accept myself is Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now. Is something that it's now that I have all the power in. So that has immensely helped me to do that. And other than that, uh, of course, I have read one thought that when I tried to find myself, I found God. And when I tried to find God, I found myself. So I was doing that is something that I read, I felt that I stumbled upon very later. But I was doing both the things. Naturally, from the childhood, I was very spiritually oriented. Spiritually, as in, I never knew what this word spirituality means. Like, as in, so when I came to understand, I used to always read a section in the Times of India when, of course, the internet was not available called Speaking Tree. So that was called as a spiritual corner. So I come to understand that after you understand about your, the basic uh, parameters about yourself, there is a more quest inside you. There is a void that calls you to to be filled. There is a void that you want to fill. You want answers to that. You don't know. You don't know. I have always been inclined to understand what that void is inside of me. So, being a student of neuroscience, I tried to understand my brain. So, I tried to understand exactly what exactly is happening neurologically inside my brain. Why is that I understood that the part of in my brain, which is called prefrontal cortex, is something which is a reason, which is a region for deciding the decision making, to have impulsivity, impulse control, to have emotional regulation. To that is where the filter is for decision making, all of that. So that is somewhere I am lacking. So this is something that I have to work upon. I also struggled a lot with burnout, lot struggled with anxiety. So a lot of I tried various meditation pathways, uh, but somehow I never found, a suitable one for me. All the famous pathways. I tried pranic healing. I understood that has helped me a bit. I learned I'm a Reiki healer, so that has helped me immensely. But the one thing that has helped me immensely is uh, a meditation technique by YSS, Yogada Satsang Society by Paramahamsa Yogananda. And that is where I have found immense peace and calm. That is where I found the calm. And that naturally calms me. And that helps me to accept myself who I am. So I'm in fact not somebody to be fixed. So that need to fix myself has gone completely. So that automatically, when I tried to find myself, I automatically felt connected to uh, superior intelligence or divine power. So that helps, that somehow helps me to calm myself down. So all the things, the hyperactivity, I call it hyper energy, because of which I always have surplus energy than others. So instead of calling myself distractible, I call myself a multitasker. So instead of calling myself somebody who is very impulsive, I call myself creative. So because I can think, I'm an out of the box thinker. Because of that I am able to, uh, you know, have a good relationship by myself. I feel the true place where we actually reside in between two ears is a safe and good place. I feel better. I look better. And so that is why I believe that my child is still growing. My son, who is autistic, is growing in my energy womb. And when my energy and my own nervous system is well balanced and calm, he feels it. So, just like a pregnant mother has to take care of her diet and thoughts and everything, a mother who is I feel this is my personal thought, a mother who is a caregiver to a uh, autistic child who needs her more than any other child, more than a neurotypical child, a mother who has a well-balanced mind, a calm mind, a, who is in the present, who is so consciously and who is so immensely present in the given moment, helps a child to be present. So a lot of things need not be worked upon. So a lot of behavior issues automatically eliminate when I meditate in my child. So there is a connection, there is an energy cord that exists between me and my child, which I automatically, I influence my child automatically when I work on myself
Oh, it is
spiritually.
absolutely true. Yes, it
Yes.
resonates well. We know when our relationship with ourselves is
Hmm.
peaceful and calm, we tend to have loving, peaceful relations with others also. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
Can't.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That was very reassuring. Um, Amrit, we did hear about your experiences and how you adapted and took to alternative paths. We would love you to speak a little more about how educators and schools can better support neurodiverse students, particularly women and girls.
Developing inclusive mindsets is the key to a healthy and equal world. Inclusivity should not remain an option or a choice. It should be the way of the world. It is about allowing everyone to be their authentic selves. As a neurodivergent woman, I want work opportunities that respect my limitation but appreciate my skill and talent. I am talented and I want to be worthy participant in the workforce provided you give me a chance.
Thank you, Amrit. Thank you so much. Ramya, you spoke about anthroposophy. Um, could you tell us a little more about it? How does it
Yeah,
work
so it
with?
is actually a philosophy which is given by Dr. Rudolf Steiner. S- Uh, I'm not an expert in it, but the main takeaways for what I have taken from that particular having met anthroposophy is that it means the wisdom of the human being. The word anthroposophy means wisdom of the human being. Yes, so that itself is the essence. So when we have that understanding, then you're not trying to fix something which is external, like labels which are placed, and then we are always trying to fix something which thinking it is a problem. Whereas here, actually, if you understand yourself better, is where you will also understand where the deviation is happening and how it can be helped. And what I really want to say here is um, when I say my understanding myself better, it is a very foundational kind of an information, it's a very foundational kind of a knowledge, which when you start seeing that dimension, it certain things start making sense. Yeah, so what you really get from is you start valuing small uh, milestones. It is not easy when a child speaks the first word, when a child takes the first step. Everything is such a challenge to the body. And that is when you start understanding the importance of these things. We don't take anything for granted. We don't take any, what do you say, any small little achievement that is being seen as, oh, that happens to everybody. No, it doesn't happen to everybody. It is not so easy. When a child is struggling with dyspraxia or apraxia or ADHD, like beautifully shared by our panelists, it is not something to be taken lightly. It is something to be understood deeply and help in all the possible ways possible by providing accommodations, by giving the right therapeutic interventions, and to be sensitive to that need. Because that is a need which is going to stay. It is not something that is going to disappear. It is a need that is going to stay. How can you support that adequately? And that is how you build an inclusive world. When you design for universal design, you are accommodating all kinds of learners, all kinds of human beings. So, in a way, if, I don't know if I can make this statement, but I would say a neurodiverse world is a more inclusive world. We don't need to really fit into a neurotypical world to prove ourselves. If you make a neurodiverse friendly world, everybody will be included. It is a word
Absolutely.
like, for example, we can see that in accessibility very clearly. If there is a ramp, people can who need a wheelchair also can move on the ramp. People can also with feet also can move on the ramp. So a ramp makes life accessible. It becomes more inclusive. So which is more inclusive? The neurodiverse thinking is more inclusive by itself, isn't it? So that is going to if that thinking can be brought into the systems, our education, our work culture, our society itself will benefit. So it is
Yes, so there
worthwhile.
are
It is really worthwhile to delve deep into this aspect, because there is gold in there. It is not to be seen as something that you're doing you're doing some favor to somebody by accommodating them into a classroom, or you're giving them a job because it's a CSR, or you're. I mean, I'm tired of seeing tokenisms in the world around me. It's a strong thing to say, but most of the things that we see are exercises in tokenism, and
absolutely. I
it
agree with you.
happens for a few people and then it is gone. It is not. Is it making a difference to my life? Is it making a difference to every household which has a child who is a neurodiverse learner? No, it is not. It is like a few things are being catered for, but that is not the case with the neurotypical world, the majority, right? So this is actually
Yeah.
another aspect I wanted to bring, though I talk about personally growing in a, which is also a very spiritual thing, but we are living in the real world, and we need to find avenues where we can make our day-to-day existence meaningful, and not always live out of this fear that, oh god, what is next, where do I go, how do I fit in. If these things are going to be bothering us as parents, and I think this is the reason many parents even don't come out and share about their children's difficulties, because they know
Very
there is nothing for us to back on. So there are two
absolutely.
aspects actually I want to two two dimensions which I feel as systemic thinkers and designers we can make a difference. One is the way the journey is presented to a newly diagnosed child and mother. It is a make or break journey, I would say. If the pediatricians are sensitive enough, if the caregiver, the healthcare industry is sensitive enough in understanding this neurodiversity in the right sense, and they present the world, they present the journey to the parent in the right way, it is going to be a beautiful journey, where it's about journey of discovery and self discovery and everything else in between. But if it is presented to in the form of a disorder or something that needs fixing, something which is going to be debilitating for the rest of their life, which mother is going to be comfortable? And which mother is going to be, what do you say, confident about it? All the confidence would have gone in that one sentence itself, right? So the way it
Yeah.
is presented is so important. And for that, that healthcare industry also has to understand it in the right sense, not just as a disorder to be fixed or anything like that. So that umbrella of neurodiversity has to be understood in the right sense. So that is one aspect. The second aspect where I really, as a mother of a 15-year-old, now my thinking has changed. Maybe all these years I was looking for different things, but now I feel, what is the way forward? Like, see, till 20, we are all grasping knowledge, we are doing our college, we are doing our schooling, and we are learning skills. After 60, 70, we are maintaining our skills, and we are maintaining ourselves. Right. The real living happens between 20 and 60, when you contribute to the society as a giver. With all that you have learned, you go and do something, you earn money, you raise a family, you all that we do is in that age group. And what
Very
is
true.
there in that age group for our children? So much of information is being, like, we are also pushing them, we are also pushing them to go for neurotypical standards. Like, for example, there are accreditations and examinations which are done for neurotypicals, and we are trying to fit our children into that system, which is a big struggle. It is not making any sense to them, yet we have to do it because we don't have anything else to fall back on. And it is something like a stamp, oh, this much has been done. But is it really helping? Is it really helping our children get jobs?
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, or maybe there are a few, but it's again tokenism. In 1% or 2% of the population is working effectively. The rest are just, we're just managing. So somewhere I feel that is the real gap between 20 and 60. How do you productively
Absolutely.
engage our children by knowing their strengths? It's not that we have to create something to just fit them into that. If you actually analyze their minds, the way they work, we will actually be able to find a lot of new things that they can bring to the world, which are refreshingly
Absolutely.
new, which are not something which has already been done. It will be a different take on many problems that we have been facing in the society. So actually, in
Yeah.
one, I just want to read out a very short quote I wrote for myself, I don't know, a couple of years back. If we keenly observe the way a neurodiverse child learns, relates, and interacts, without our conditioning, bias, or expectations, we may touch the very fundamentals of learning and what it means to be really inclusive, and hence probably become a better society of designers, educators, and human beings. Today
Absolutely,
I,
Ravi.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was just, in your short 5 minute talk, you've touched upon so many things. You've touched upon the dire need for universal design, very essential person centered planning and customized employment. There's so many things you have said. You've also, I completely agree with you that, if we study a neurodivergent child, a neurodivergent individual, and the way he learns or she learns, and interacts with the nature, interacts with the environment, we can crack universal design. Yeah, it is something that we need to do it, and I'm sure we will get there. I'm
The
very
approach has to
optimistic.
change. I think the direction of approach really has to change. Rather than trying to see what is already there and trying to fit things into it, we'll have to create something which
Make
is
spaces, yes.
coming from that spring,
Yeah,
and
very true.
it can be uncomfortable because it will be cutting across certain norms which have been set. So this is another thing I really hope that we do. It's not about trying to include all the time. It's about expanding the idea of what is normal.
What is normal? Yes,
expand the
absolutely.
norm
Thank you
expand the
for that.
norm so that there is much more accessibility to everybody, all kinds of mind and all kinds of what do you
Yeah.
say?
So
Yeah.
it's a long road to it. Like
Yes.
Ramana Maharshi had said when somebody asked him, how do you treat others? And Ramana Maharshi said, there is no other.
Hmm.
So if we understand that
True.
and accept, I think we have a long way to go, but I'm sure we'll get there, Ramya, and we will all be there. And we are all working. I know we are all working in silos, and we will come together. I strongly believe in universal thought, and we will get there. We will get there, inshallah, in our lifetime. Yeah, thank you. Deepthi, I come back to you, and we want to know how being neurodivergent has shaped your identity. You did speak about it a little bit. Could you tell us about how has it shaped your self-perception as a woman?
So, as a woman, so so even while being an entrepreneur, like don't mind me, but my voice will be a little slurred now. That happens towards the end of the day. So, so what happens is, can you just repeat your question, please?
I want to know how being neurodivergent has shaped your self-perception as a woman.
So, I mean, I can't really, I mean, it has shaped me as a person, as a woman. The struggle with being neurodivergent or not being, the struggle still remains the same. You're still trying
Yeah.
to, you're still trying to fit or tear into a very heavily man's world, wherever you are. So being neurodivergent or being somebody with chronic, dealing with an invisible illness or chronic pain makes it even challenging for me because half the time I have to prove that I have something, you know.
Yeah.
So I have to, prove myself in terms of that something is wrong or that I need certain understanding or I need help with something because so that is something that I deal with a lot. I struggle with a lot in my workplace. I work from home, so it's a little more better. But when I go to the office, I work as a healthcare copywriter, as a medical copywriter. So, I always have felt that I would go to one place that would understand me. But trust me, I go to an office or I work in a space that deals with healthcare so mechanically and so myopically that they don't understand what I'm going through, you know, unless I put it down in like a abstract or a paper or something. They don't they cannot relate to what I have, or what I'm suffering from. And, that wherein I need a little more leeway sometimes, I need some understanding, I need a few days off, they don't get it, So like I said in my previous, like when I spoke previously, is that I've stopped trying to fit into that world. I mean, I now make sure that my environment uh, structures itself around me. You know, I,
Mm.
I stopped, trying to fit in, trying to, you know, um, make like, I'm a very humorous person. I'm very funny. I crack a lot of jokes. I have poker face humor, but when I used to use that, I self-depreciating, making a joke about myself, taking a jab at myself. And I thought that made people laugh, that lightened the situation, that made me more acceptable. But that also made me respect myself a little more lesser, you know. So that's when I stopped doing that now. So I do come across as a little arrogant, or someone who she makes this disease of hers a big deal. I don't care, anymore. It makes me see through the day. It makes me write effective copy. It makes me fulfill my task list. You know, it makes me earn my bread and butter. So I am going to do that without me having the need to fit in, because I don't fit in. I don't. I am different, and I'm embraced that difference that I am, the different that I am. And that's
Mm.
made me cope very. And I'm still. It's not that I'm coping or I've achieved nirvana or something. I'm still fighting. In fact, even after this panel, I'll be fighting. But uh, it's an ongoing battle, and it's fine. Like, in the sense, it's something that I will cope with each and every day. Mm.
So I agree with you, Deepti. To be comfortable in one's own skin is not a one-time event. It's an everyday um, uh, happening. We have to make ourselves comfortable
Yes.
in our own skin every day. It's not a one-time event. It's not a one-time realization or nirvana. I know, but it's thank you. Like I said last time, thank you for being you.
Yeah.
Shashi,
Suhana, yeah,
I'm just coming in for 1 second.
yeah.
So Deepti, do you want me to read out what you had
Yes.
shared?
Yes. Mm.
Okay. So she had sent across a response. So I'll just read it out.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second because it's there in my chat. And information for everybody, I have opened up the chat for, so you can just put it to everyone. You don't need to send it directly to me. Okay. So Deepti had written to the second question that Shashi had asked. I constantly battle chronic pain, numbness, double vision, balance issues, and a drippy nose thanks to CSF, cerebrospinal fluid overproduction. I have received more cold remedy advice than actual medical solutions. Try steam, have ginger. Sure. Let me just tell my malfunctioning nervous system to get in line. That's poker face humor, definitely, Deepti. But I don't wake up every day feeling brave or inspirational. I wake up and face my disorder head on because that's my only way to survive. Being neurodivergent has made me unashamed to ask for help. Whether it's requesting a stranger to hold my hand when I lose balance or excusing myself from situations where I can't be comfortable. As a woman, my illness has forced me to redefine strength. It's not about pushing through unbearable pain. It's about knowing when to rest. It's not about proving my worth. It's about claiming space where I belong. My condition has shaped me as a brand builder, a medical copywriter, and a storyteller. I don't just create campaigns, I create narratives that demand awareness, inclusion, and understanding. Even coming on this platform is a big step because awareness starts with conversations like these. My body may betray me, but my voice, even if it's not the one I started with, will always fight for the visibility of invisible illnesses. And to the third question, what Deepti has written is invisible illnesses like syringomyelia. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And multiple sclerosis are a strange paradox. You can be in constant pain, but if you're not visibly sick, people assume you're fine. One day you're a singer, the next your vagus nerve taps out and boom, your voice is gone. You used to love food, now swallowing feels like a sport. Your body, well, it's running on a mystery mode where pain, numbness, and balance issues take turns, ruining your day. Yeah. Thank you so much, Deepti, for sharing that. Over to you, Shashi. And just a quick reminder, we are at 8:24. So, yeah.
So we will take Suhana's.
Yeah, and then we can go to the audience questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Suhana, there were a lot of things I want to know. I think we will save it for later. What kind of advocacy work have you been involved in, Suhana? And I'll ask the next question after you answer this.
I have personally been involved in advocacy related to neurodivergence only, or just advocacy related to mental health in general?
Both. Yeah, mental health in general. Let's take that. Yeah.
So mental health in general, I'd say that I've been a therapist only for the past 3 to 4 years, but when it comes to mental health and systemic changes, I think I've been working in the area since 10th grade, 11th grade. I think it started with just training and being along with girls and women, mostly women. I come from a very rural background in Kerala called Kasaragod, Udma. So there is a very high misconception that people in Kasaragod reach nowhere, they're good for nothing. Even the state doesn't want us because the government policies, nothing reaches Kasaragod. It's a very problematic thing in politics in itself. So it was the thing that me and my mother, we really wanted to do something. We really wanted girls in the rural area to come forward and do things. That's how I think advocacy in itself started for me. That's how I started facilitating groups. So I've been in the area of advocacy for many, many, many years, also in group facilitation and training. Yeah, I'll just keep it to that.
So we'll start with closing remarks with you. Can you give us your remarks on how can we make mental health services accessible for ND population?
Okay, so since today's topic is also neurodivergence in women, it's important, first of all, that we see that neurodivergence does not look the same in women as other people. It looks very different. So we recently did this survey. Me and a few friends of us who are very interested in working in the neurodivergent population, we started thinking of creating tools for people with ADHD. Like people with ADHD need routines, but they hate routines. So we were figuring out, okay, we need to figure out some way in which they can follow routines, but also love the routines that they're trying to manage. So we put out a survey for ADHD individuals asking, okay, what are the difficulties that you're going through? What are the ways in which you're managing it, tools, etc. And when the results came out, we were actually very shocked because at first we did not see it. Then I later went into it and really dig deeper into the gender aspect of the results in the survey. And I found that the difficulties that women in the survey are facing are extremely different from that of what the men are facing. And the tools that they are using to work on their symptoms are also extremely different from each other. The tools that will help men do not help women. The tools that help women do not help men. But interestingly, the tools that are helping women become the second or third stage for men. So it's not that it's not required for men, it is, but they're just not ready for it yet, which was also very interesting to see because it's mostly emotional dysregulation and emotional difficulties that women are facing and also stuckness, a lot of being in freeze mode. But whereas for men, it is, oh, they'll do it all. They just need solutions. They just need very solution-oriented approaches. This really blew my mind. seeing this difference, right? So using this also into work has been really interesting. I will just wind up what I'm saying. How to make it more inclusive. I personally believe that first of all, there needs to be a change in language. In the way we approach anything regarding neurodivergence really needs to change. It's very pathological, the way a lot of clinical psychologists or the way a lot of psychiatrists deal with these things, the languages that they use, the way they dismiss everyone who comes in, the way they break the news to parents, like how Ramya mentioned earlier. All of these things matter a lot. The language that you're using, how you say disorders, deficits, none of this helps. Even the word ADHD in itself, it doesn't define what people with ADHD go through. It says attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's not an attention deficit at all. In fact, it is a problem of too much attention, right? So there's a lot of ways in which we need to evolve, change language, move, really become more and get more inclusive. So firstly, adopting a neuroaffirmative language, 100% extremely important. Also moving, it's an age-old practice that we've been using ABA therapy. It's high time we moved away from harmful therapeutic interventions and approaches and use more of what neurodiverse populations are requiring. Understanding the challenges and the bias is also very, very important. And definitely trying to provide individualized and flexible approaches. Therapy is not a one size fits all. Therapy is definitely needs to be streamlined and changed for who is sitting in front of you. Like Ramya mentioned, how the therapist met the child in front of her. In the same way, we need to meet the person where they are. You can't be like, okay, this is what I learned. This is the therapy that I've learned in school. This I will use for you because this is the diagnosis you have. Does not work. It does not work in a therapy room at all. Introducing more somatic approaches, like someone spoke about, I think Mithila spoke about spirituality over here, meditation, spiritual approaches, somatic approaches in general, like really just checking in with your body and seeing what your body is saying. Right? These kind of approaches are age-old approaches, but we don't see them as effective approaches, or we don't give them much value because they are not American Psychology Association approved. Now that's the problem. Like the way we see these kind of things, and it's all from the perspective of either the US or the Eurocentric approach. We are not really seeing it from our own approaches, or what we are actually experiencing from learned or lived experience. I'd like to also just thank everyone for being here and for having me here and for being able to be in a place like this. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you so much, Shashi. You've been an incredible host.
Thank you. So no, we won't let you go. There's more. Yeah. Give me a minute. Ramya, could you give us your closing remarks about your idea of inclusion and the support system you as a parent wish to see?
Yeah, I think for me, I just want a lot of opportunities for my daughter and other daughters of other mothers. I think that is what is there, that is what is going to make people come out of their shells, come out of their homes with confidence. See, we all, the other day I was sharing with Chitra, if we all assess, sometimes we will also have streaks of ADHD, which will uh, uh, come up, But that is not important right now. The thing is, we have had our childhood, we have had opportunities, we have had our choices to decide what we want to study, what we want to learn, what we want to do. I want these choices for my daughter. I really want her to choose what she wants to do based on what she wants, really from within. Not that she is fit into something which is existing and which is living. That is definitely, and that was one of the reasons why even Willet work has taken root in a very small way, of course. And the reason I have taken the idea of handwork is because it is also very grounding, what do you say, engagement. The thing is, when again the tilt towards academic performance, intellect driven work is so high that becomes the defines success sometimes. So I have a problem with the way success is defined. And like you said, like there are uh, what we see also of the even amongst the neurodivergent population, some of the representations are all about being a savant or being somebody extremely successful in something, extremely skilled in something, which may not be the case across. And if that is the only representation coming across, then the parent is going to feel more and more inadequate, right?
Yeah.
That I'm
Adequate.
not doing something right, which is there, I'm not. There is a lot of pressure. As such, there's a lot of pressure because we are in a society which is not at all having anything laid down for us. And on top of this, this need to perform, this need to present something to the world that we are good at. All that I really seek is I have a good day with my daughter. We both feel good about having done what we like to do through the day,
Yeah.
sleep well at night, have a healthy mind space, and probably also, not probably, and definitely also be able to monetarily be able to sustain in this world. Like all of us,
Yeah.
like everybody, like for what did we study? I studied for taking up a job and being able to sustain my family, right? Which presently probably I'm not doing because of whatever the situation is. But this is something that everybody deserves to get. They deserve to get opportunities. They deserve to work. They deserve to have a role of a contributor to the society, and they also deserve to have their choices.
Yeah.
So these are some things that I really want for my daughter, and like I said, daughters and sons of other mothers, because this is where we are. We have to work towards that. And will it work? It's a
Yeah.
very small attempt, but as I say this, it is not that everything is well defined at home. I have my challenges. Tomorrow is a new day. I have to orchestrate the entire day. Even in the last 2 hours that I'm sitting here, there's so much of planning that has gone behind in ensuring that my daughter is engaged and not disturbed. Her food is kept ready. So many accommodations we do around our day. So if the society can make that easier for us by doing things which are more systemic rather than tokenism, I think that would be a world where neurodivergent families will openly say that they are blessed to be one, uh,
Yeah.
with complete confidence. So
So I
that is
agree
what I
with
wish
you,
for.
Ramya. I agree with you, Ramya. Back when I was with with a very well-known business daily, there was a big hue and there was a lot of hullabaloo around, centers of excellence. My point was why? It is more than enough to be average many times. And that is what we should be looking at. It's okay. Not all of us need to strive for excellence. There is no need to be. You sing because you want to sing. It's
Shashi,
that's what a bird does. Yeah, that's what a
Shashi,
bird
may
does.
I just add a little bit here?
Please do,
I,
please do.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to lay it out for young parents who have just begun their journey with autism or neurodivergence. This stereotype and myth that surrounds neurodivergence that everybody is a savant. Please don't fall into that trap. Let our children just be children. Let them just be. Uh,
Yes.
we are all born with different intellectual capacities. And I would echo what Remya just said because I just relate to each word and I'm hanging on to it with so much hope that,
Mhm.
just allow them to live from one day to the other. And at
Exactly.
the end of the day, if we can just, uh, you know, if we can applaud ourselves for having lived that day well and sleep well at night, I think that's more than enough.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Mithila, can I come back to you about your closing remarks about your idea of an inclusive society?
Uh, my idea of inclusive society is that, first of all women and all children should be empowered should be educated to stand up for themselves. We panelists, all of us are here because we have mustered up some courage to speak for ourselves. So if each and every girl who thinks that she doesn't fit into the box should be empowered to speak for herself, the change has to start from within and then it can be reflected out in the society. And also, uh, in my mother tongue Marathi, it says that गुण आणि गुणवत्ता याचा संबंध नसतो. It means that the scores that the numbers that you see on any test or in an exam and your excellence has nothing to do with each other. So, seeing numbers in the test exams or in the have nothing to do with how much worth you define. The self-worth has to come from within. So if we starts from the inside out approach, then the society will change, but it has to start from within first. The internalized ableism has to stop. Like every a woman has to match a known standard, that has to stop. So when a change comes from within in an individual, and when it happens to each and every individual, the society itself will change. So when
Thank
I
you.
think, yeah.
No, no, you can continue, please, if you have
Yeah,
anything.
as in, yes, so that is there. So, and of course, being a person from a healthcare fraternity, I'm a physiotherapist, it is immensely important to not, shut women when they go to educating medical professionals also. When I just having a psychological problems or just having when a woman comes to you that she is experiencing irregular heartbeats, you need to look upon. When a woman comes to you experiencing a fibromyalgia or experiencing a muscle aches and pains, she needs to be addressed. She needs to be considered, looked through a neurodiverse lens. She has a different, medical needs. And when a woman is struggling with an anxiety, it's not just anxiety or overthinking. She cannot be, there are different tools that needs to be, we need to have therapists who can help us who are specific to neurodiverse individuals. So I
Thank
think because uh, strength comes from the when we want to, as a physiotherapist, I know when I want to strengthen somebody, I need to first take care of the underlying pathology, then I can move forward. I bring a person to the baseline and then go forward. So healing individuals who have already undergone trauma, that is one issue, and empowering women who are trying to thrive is another thing.
Thank you, Mithila. Thank you so much for pointing it out and raising those very important points about specific to neurodivergent women. Chitra, you think we can take questions now?
Yeah, we can take a couple of questions. Before that, I just want to request everybody present. I'm just going to launch a poll. Please do complete the poll, because this is for us to gain an idea on what else to take up in future. Okay, we would be really grateful if you could definitely take the poll. So I'm just launching it, and simultaneously the questions will also happen. Okay, so as you're listening, you can just finish. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have launched the poll, and Shashi, you can get started like on the.
Yeah. Suhana, we're coming back to you with an audience question, with a registrant's question. It's kind of long, so I'm going to break it down. So the first one, you have spoken about the concerns in getting a right diagnosis. So when do you think, that one should be prompted to get a diagnosis in adulthood? What features in our behavior should prompt us to get a diagnosis in adulthood?
I'm just going to jump in 1 second, Shibli. Like, has everybody got the poll popping up for them? Okay, fine. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Shibli, you can go ahead, please.
This is a question that I'm just wondering how to answer, because diagnosis means different things to different people. I'm someone who believes that self-diagnosis is not a problem either. But in the adulthood specifically, I don't think it's very necessary for your
I was
lived
coming to that
experience.
next. Is a
Yeah.
formal diagnosis always important? Or does late identification makes the condition worse? Is that the fear? Does it make a difference? That is where I was coming to, actually.
diagnosis it doesn't make the condition worse as such, of course. It does help, obviously, to know that you're at least getting a diagnosis even later on in life, because it kind of provides a relief for a lot of neurodivergent individuals that, okay, finally, a lot of the things that I've been going through make sense. Like there's a name to it. There's a lot of people who go through similar things. So it makes them feel much more better and it makes them feel relieved. However,
Yeah.
the burden of this diagnosis, right? It's a very looming presence. It's sort of like, unless there's a diagnosis, people are not going to accept you, or people are not going to really take it seriously. However, giving the diagnosis is also not something that you will easily receive. A lot of people will say that this is not real. They will misdiagnose you. And this misdiagnosis is also a problem because it can be misdiagnosed very quickly. And the thing about DSM or any of these diagnostic criteria that therapists are following is it's not foolproof. Human beings made it, and they made it a long time ago. And we are changing things, yes, but those who in power are also the ones changing it. So it's not like it's beautifully catered to exactly who neurodivergent individuals are. It's not. So even the diagnostic criteria, I don't think perfectly meets the neurodivergent individuals properly. It's not that great. Honestly, mental health, the field of mental health has not even grown enough to be able to do it really well. We're just growing. The aspects of neurodivergence is an area that is still being debated about. Therapists and psychiatrists and mental health professionals are all still debating with each other what all will come under neurodivergence, who is neurodivergent, why are they neurodivergent, is ADHD a term that we can use at all? It's very trending right now. So do we give a diagnosis to everybody? Do we only give a diagnosis to children? Can we not give adults? Adult ADHD does not exist. Adult autism does not exist. After writing, there is no autism. It's like, invisible. So it's a very difficult thing to also talk about and say that, diagnosis as such will make it all better. It doesn't, but it does help a lot of people.
Okay.
The kind of accessibility sometimes that comes with it, especially for working individuals, having that can give them a lot more access at workspaces. So in spaces like that, diagnosis really helps.
Okay. Yeah. So there's another kind of a sensitive question, and I would you can totally skip it if you don't want to answer it. How difficult is for a neurodivergent woman to deal with emotions, to deal with the nuances of an intimate relationship?
Thank you so much for asking that question. In fact, I actually really liked that question. Because I work a lot with couples and relational concerns, it goes well with me. It is extremely difficult, I would say, because these are individuals whose emotions have been dismissed their entire life. So finally, when they come into close intimate relationships, they expect or really require a lot more reassurance, loving presence, holding presence, which as a woman, I'd say a lot of men are not really trained to have. So there is a disconnect, there is a mismatch, and it's bad. It's really bad. However, I would say in queer relationships, also neurodivergent population, I'd say that a lot more queer individuals are also neurodivergent in nature because they're more open to seeing things differently, right? So I'd say in queer relationships, it can be a bit more easier to provide that kind of intimacy amongst each other because they come from similar backgrounds and they want to do the work. They really intentionally put the work. Other than that, like in heteronormative relationships, I do find men who don't really understand it, finding it really hard to provide that kind of emotional support for neurodivergent women and really giving up on the women saying things like, she's too emotional, she's too cranky, she's too forgetful, she's not like my mother, she doesn't do everything in the house, she's useless. They use words like that, like in therapy rooms, when couples therapy comes up and one partner is neurodivergent, the others blatantly criticize and dismiss and push them away sometimes. And it's really difficult to work with situations like that. Sometimes it is necessary for the therapist to hold empathy for every individual who is sitting in front of you. But when one person really fully dismisses, when patriarchy takes the room, takes the space in the room, like the biggest space in the room, it becomes really difficult as a therapist also to manage something like that and also provide that safety for the woman to say that, okay, you will probably have a better space to experience all of your emotions, but I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee that when they're in a space like that where they don't really feel safe every single day with the people that they're living with. I think I spoke only with respect to marital relationships, but not with respect to other intimate relationships. But this was a personal experience that I was sharing.
Thank you so much. It is a difficult topic to talk about, but I think it's very, very essential, not just for neurodiverse population, even among neurotypical population. Intimate relations are very challenging. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Mithila. I'm sorry, Suhana. Mithila, can I this again is kind of sensitive topic. So women in general face several issues that boys and men don't, such as menstruation, pregnancy, and then menopause. So do you think the kind of support that is extended right now is adequate to cover all these aspects? No, I know
No.
the answer is no. We would like to
Yeah,
know what
absolutely.
kind of, yeah.
Absolutely. So, I would talk for me. I would say I'm in a state of infancy in discovering my own neurodiversity. So, basically, hormones, hormonal fluctuations that women go every month affects a lot. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry for the disturbance.
Mithila, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
not an
yes.
issue.
My son is really cranky because I am away from
It's
him.
We have
it's our
taken a
reality,
lot
so
of
no
your time.
issues.
Taken a
Yeah.
lot of your time.
Basically, uh, all ADHD symptoms, I will talk about ADHD because that is something I know. So, it creates havoc when we are so there is something called as premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and I also know that that I also soon I'm 38 years old at 38 and a half, and I'll soon going to be in a perimenopausal age, and there is no awareness that Indian women go into a perimenopausal phase way earlier than 5 to 6 years, 6 to 7 years earlier than women of other ethnicities. So that create another havoc in the way our brain functions. So basically, can you repeat the question again? What was the question about? The support, yeah, this is definitely
Yeah, so the question is, what kind of support is
maybe
needed
5 minutes.
to cover
Mhm.
these aspects? What women go
Uh,
through, what girls go
So
through.
I will talk about when socially, and when I talk about social, family is a unit of society. So we'll start from the home. So when everybody in the family, I believe, should be aware of the cycles of the women, I feel. So when I have my husband and I, we live now in family of three. So my husband and I and me. So my sensory issues, my approach about things changes as I go through a cycle. I'm sure it holds true for every woman. So my husband has having a tracker, an app in which he knows that what phase of the cycle I'm going through. And I also personally am educating myself about how I can prepare myself about my own menopause and pass through a perimenopausal age, phase, because I know there is going to be my since uh, the arrival of the puberty and my menopause, they may overlap with each other, and that is going to create a super havoc in our lives. So there is not enough awareness about supplementation that women has to start taking, especially neurodivergent women. So I would like to name a couple of supplements that are absolutely vital for all the women on neurodiversity. They are omega-3s, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and magnesium glycinate. These are the most underestimated supplements which help immensely, and the strength training, a resistance training where a woman is, exercising a progressive overload in her muscles. Muscles are most underused antidepressants. So, yes, so there is a lot of research which is going on use of progressive overload on the muscles or the resistance training and its effect on the brain and its effect on your functionality. So when I take my son or I implement occupational therapy exercise where there are proprioceptive exercises, vestibular and tactile exercises, they are not just for him. I too need a sensory diet which is different for. So and I make sure uh, um, that I get an important sensory diet so that I'm able to function, so that I am not hormonally driven. I'm not uh, what I can say. I'm just not. I'm not servant to my hormones
Yeah.
because I already have a ADHD brain to deal with, where I'm distractible, impulsive, and with the sensory underlying sensory issues. So this
Yeah.
is something that is very important. Yeah. I hope I
Thank
answered
you
the
so
question.
much. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you did absolutely. We are all at some point in our lives hormonally driven, and it's heartening to know there is a way out in strength
No,
training.
premenstrual
Yeah.
premenstrual dysphoric disorder is something that is immense. And also, I have understood something that having lived in a girls' hostel, I understood that I have endured menstrual pain and premenstrual syndrome way in much more amplified manner than other girls. I there have been a time when I was just not able to function during my menses. I would just pray to God that my university exam should not fall on my first 2 days of the periods. It was
Mhm.
immensely difficult to function. And initially, and to take care of a child who's on autism spectrum when he was young, and now he has become quite independent. So taking care of a child while taking care of my own fluctuations was something that was so difficult for me. Recently, I have been on this my own personal, healing journey through about an year, and I'm in a so much better place.
Mm.
And so I wish I had known. To the extent that I have also read or researched that there are so many things that neurodiverse brain starts growing a decade later than a neurotypical brain.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yes. So a lot of things like finances, lot of executive functions, neurodiverse women figure out a decade or decade two later than a neurotypical peers.
Yeah.
So I feel that because of the my own healing journey, I'm in such a better place where I'm able to manage my reproductive health in a better way. Feel.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Chitra, this is a sincere request. An hour was way too little.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know
And
that.
I'm forced to move towards concluding the panel
Yeah.
discussion. I'm sure there are quite a few questions. Is there any way they can reach out and then send you
Uh,
the questions that can be answered? There were
Yeah, we could. So
inquiries.
we
Yeah.
will be sending out a email as a follow-up. So you can always respond, reply back with any questions you may have. There are other questions also, but obviously because of time limits, we can't take all the questions. We will see how we can get responses from the panelists and share them with you. I hope that's okay and everybody understands the constraints that we have.
Yeah. So we've already taken a lot
Yeah,
more time than we had
yeah. And
requested them
I'm
to
I'm
spend.
also a little concerned about all those mothers sitting here with their
Yes. Yes.
children out and yeah, so
Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, panelists, for sharing your very valuable insights and unique experiences. It's clear that we need to do a lot more to support neurodivergent women in India. We need to create inclusive spaces, services, and policies that cater to their unique needs and promote empowerment and well being. When political will is found lacking or it is absent. Inclusive conversations in the civil society can lead to an organic creation of neurodiverse friendly environments, promoting equal opportunities and participation, in turn forcing our policymakers to take note. And this, I believe, is one such conversation, and I'm sure many more will follow. Chitra, this was an immensely fulfilling 2 hours for me personally. So by engaging in conversations around neurodivergence, we will move towards a more compassionate, inclusive, and equitable society. I wish to be a part of such conversations, many more such conversations, and thank you all for joining us and for being so patient for nearly 2 hours. Chitra, over to you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, so thank you first and foremost to all our wonderful panelists. And we are extremely sorry that it went overboard in terms of time. Thank you for staying the full length and sharing so freely. And big thank you to Shashi also for moderating it in such a easy manner. I was looking at the time and I was stressing out, but Shashi was very calm, and that's wonderful to see. And thank you to the audience. Like, I know the numbers have come down quite, but it is very understandable with the 2 hours that we have reached. But a huge thank you, and we will be sending out the link for the YouTube. It will be up on the YouTube, and if you want to share with others also, feel free to do it. And one last request, if anybody still hasn't responded to the poll, please do. There was a glitch in the poll launch, but yeah, we do have some responses, and we will get back to you with whatever information you have asked for to the best of our ability. Okay. Thank you so much, and good night, and happy weekend. Shabba khair.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Okay, good night. Good night.
Talking to?